If I can have your attention, please, I'll call the meeting to order. This will be the September meeting of the Wilson County Board of Zoning Appeals. Appreciate everyone coming this morning. We have a prepared agenda that's been advertised as required. Do we have anybody this morning who wants to defer their case or withdraw their case from our agenda? And if not, the agenda will stand as advertised. We have a court recorder here this morning that's taking a record of our proceedings. This is done at the expense of Wilson County. If you would like a transcript of a particular case, that will be at your expense. And if you would please see the court recorder when we're done this morning. We have several cases on the agenda. I think there are 11 or 12 that have been advertised, and we'll be hearing each one of those. Some of these may take a few minutes, some longer. So we'll go for an hour, hour and a half at that point. If we're not really close to the end, I'm going to declare a little recess for 5 or 10 minutes where we stretch our legs, and then we'll come right back after that and continue with the meeting. Just a reminder to everyone, if you would please, turn off your cell phones or turn it down or to vibrate. When your case is called this morning, first of all, we'd like the person who's representing the application to come to the podium, give us your name and address, and make any comments to the board that you'd like to make. After that, I'll call for anyone who'd like to also speak in support or in opposition to the particular case. If you are going to make a statement in front of the board this morning, you need to be sworn in. So at this time, if you do plan to speak, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give before this board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. The county staff has made recommendations to the board on each case, and for the record, I will state that the board will consider the staff's recommendation along with the other testimony when we make our decisions. Just as a reminder this morning to everyone, we are on television. The proceedings will be recorded, and they're available on Wilson County TV on YouTube if you'd like to rewatch the meeting at a later date. The state requires that we have a public comment period before each public meeting. This has nothing to do with a particular case. Each case will have its own comment period. But if there's anyone who would like to address the board on a general public comment basis, I'll entertain that request at this time. Anyone who wishes to make a general comment to the board? And if not, then the public comment period is closed. Turning to the board members now, you have in front of you the minutes from the meeting from the month of August. You've had a chance to review those minutes. Do you have any corrections that need to be made to the minutes from the month of August? And hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve your minutes from August?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. To have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the minutes from the month of August. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. And all opposed vote no. The ayes have it. Our first case is case 4131. It was deferred from our October 2023 meeting. It is Mina Reggae and Masad Baluch is requesting to use the property for an automobile, body, paint, and mechanical shop. The property is located at 1640 Murfreesboro Road, Lot 3. Leslie Van Hook property is parcel 5601 on Wilson County Tax Map 92. The property consists of 2.95 acres, Zone C3 commercial. We'll get staff recommendations now on 4131.
Mr. Chair, on case 4131, applicant is requesting to use the property for an automobile, body, paint, and mechanical shop. automobile repair and/or service in conjunction with automobile sales is a listed use on appeal in the C3 Highway Commercial Zone District. In staff's opinion, the automobile repair aspect of this site appears to be much more than an accessory use to the car sales. The applicant has also added a paint booth and brought in additional gravel to expand the parking area on the property without a site plan. The front gate of the property is not constructed of approved fencing material, and staff would suggest at a minimum that the gate and fence material be addressed so as to be constructed out of materials intended at a manufacturer for fencing purposes in keeping with the zoning requirements. The site does not appear to be in any better shape than it was a year ago when it came before you, and that was October 19th of 2023. Staff recommends denial without prejudice at this time until the property is cleaned up and we have received a more detailed site plan. This case is back before you because the complaint was submitted.
Okay. Mr. Attorney? Yes. Staff has got a new comment they make here on us, recommend denial without prejudice. Help us with that.
What that means is if they do what they're supposed to do, they can come back and reapply without having to pay the fee.
Okay.
Isn't that the position we've taken, Chris?
Yes, sir, and it also gets rid of the 6-month time constraint that a normal denial would hold if they're able to get new information.
All right, thank you. All right. Who's here to represent 4131? Yes, sir. If you would please give us your name and address.
My name is Magid Samuel. I'm a friend for Mina and Seher that they operating this business. And my address is 2028 Poly Place, Nolensville, Tennessee. And I'm talking about this business. They're asking from the commission room that the reason they want to make a repair for their lot, they're already dealers, so they have the car. They want to expand the business a little bit to repair, to help their customers even when they come to get their cars from them, and that's to back again to repair. So it will be a full service for their customers. And that's you could see also in the picture file for the whole lot. The second picture in the POC, you could see the lot from the front. That's more show cars for the customers as selling, and that's the office. And behind the office, it will be like repair, not repair, like tune up for their cars, like change oil, change brake. That will help the customer to give them the full service for anyone they buy. They got their cars from them. So come back, and we'll do this tune up for your car. So we give them that's like the full service to be a good relationship between the customers and the dealer, to build them their relationship. And the third picture that you could see also, that they want to expand it for more cars showing, and to put frame shop and a paint shop, or not a shop, it's like a room, small space to fix their cars. So if I have any problem in my car, so I will go back again to them, and that's to fix it to me in a fair price, not expensive like other places. And also that's give them the ability to build their relationship and expand their business with other customer. Fourth picture, that's a mechanic repair room. That they put the lifter, and that's just to tune up their cars, that change oil, brakes, other stuff. The frame room that you could see, as you see in related to the picture number 3, that will be the shape for the frame room. It's not that big, but it just have one car. It will be in the room. Sixth picture, it will be the paint room. It's also that's to help the other customer if they have rack or anything like that, so they want to paint their cars, so they could do that. And this is the storage, the last picture, that's a storage. So that's help them in their business for expanding, plus clean, that they will keep the area, the whole lot clean, and they will represent more cars in the back. Customers, last picture, it will be the full floor plan, and this floor plan for the office, and the office have big space for waiting for the customers, and also that's attached to the mechanical room, and there is a big bathroom also. So this is their business plan vision, and they would like to have it, to do it, and they expand their business. It's helped them also that hire more people, so that's not 1 or 2 people they will be working, so that will be more than that. So it will be like win-win situation for the customer, for them, for other people that work in the business. So they hope that's to get the permit or the permission from you guys to approve it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Does the board have questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. These pictures that we have in our packet that we're presented with from the county,
Yeah.
and when I look at your plan here, it's talking about show cars. What's the definition of a show car? Is it the customer car that you're working on? But this, and not demeaning what's on in these pictures, but it looks more like a junkyard.
That's
I
what,
mean, there's a complaint here, it says like 75-plus cars. I don't know if anybody actually counted all of them. But I have a hard time envisioning this, and you're talking about this. I have a difficult time with that.
okay. So old pictures, yes, well, you got the old pictures, but the new pictures, this is their new vision for doing it. So it will be gravel. They will put gravels, and they will
But-
try.
Are these customer cars or junk cars? Are these people that brought cars out there for you to repair or paint or whatever you're going to do?
They want to repair it, but they can have the permission for it.
Okay.
So
I'm just-
this what I know, but that will be the new pictures, or these
Okay.
pictures. This will be the new business plan.
I'm just having a hard time personally connecting this with this when it looks like there's no effort to get towards this, or they're not related. I can't see that.
I understand that's pictures, the new pictures. This is their plan. They will do it. So the old pictures, that's the old image, it will be removed, and that they start to be more professional. This plan, they will be committed in front of you. So these pictures, that will be the new business plan for
You
them.
mentioned gravel. You know,
They will put, yes, they will,
all the required spaces in circulation area, I think, are supposed to be paved.
okay, they will do pay. I mean, they will do what's the commission room they want.
Well, I'm a little frustrated here. You say they'll do what, is supposed to be done, but they're out there operating now and have been for a year or two, and they didn't do anything. They didn't submit a site plan, they didn't get approval.
That's
They
before,
had-
that's how.
I mean, the gate is made out of old doors screwed together, if I'm seeing it right from the road.
They will,
That doesn't really ring with me like folks who are wanting to, comply with everything.
that's,
I mean, the way this should go, they should have come in here, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, they should have been in here with a site plan for approval and gotten whatever approvals they needed, then accomplished those improvements, and then gone into business. And as things went, they just went and started the business, correct?
yeah, that's right.
And we didn't hear anything about it until a complaint came in a year or so ago.
That's correct. It's C3 Highway Commercial, so they, without any expansion to the site, I mean, it was always a gravel lot, they would have been legally allowed to sell cars as long as they didn't expand the site. They could have utilized the existing home and the existing gravel pad to sell cars. working on cars and expanding the site without a site plan, that's where the violation comes in.
There have been, I mean, there are buildings there that have been added in
Yeah.
addition to the old building that was there.
There's been, I believe, a storage building brought in, and then a paint booth, what they've
So
built.
are they selling cars and then repairing only what needs repair after the sale? Or are they buying cars that need to be repaired and repairing them and then putting them on the lot?
So for right now, they selling cars and they repair the cars. If there's a car need anything, they will do it. But small things, it's not a big repair. So they asking to be legal to repair their cars, and that's even if there's a car that come after wreck that they could repair. So they do small stuff for right now. They're not doing like big stuff. But if any papers or anything that we have to represent it later on, that we can. Or we will be in front of you that will be committed to do it. in the
Remind
right-
me again, how big is this site? 3 acres, 2.95?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I got a question. The pictures that were provided are dated today. It shows none of these cars with license plates on them. So are these all cars for sale? There's no license plates on them.
Yeah,
You like to look?
yeah, that's,
They have no plates on them.
yeah, this car, yeah, there's no license plate.
So are they for sale? As used cars? You think they are, but you don't know.
No, honestly, but they're for sale. This car for sale.
Okay. Anyone else have questions?
I just got a comment. You say they being the owners, people that you're representing here, will do whatever we need to do, but you know, as it's been said, they were brought up here a year ago in October, and then I quote staff here, the site does not appear to be in any better shape than it was a year ago. So they've had a year to do some things, so don't come in here saying, well, we'll do whatever you want us to do. They've had a year to do it, and I'm quoting staff.
Yes, sir. So that's
That wasn't much of a question, it was more of a statement. But
yes, I understand that, but there is something else. They don't know how to go with the papers, or they don't understand exactly what
Right,
exactly.
well, they need to get with staff, and they need to meet down, and they need to understand what they need to do to come in compliance,
Yes,
because
they-
currently they're not in compliance.
This what they start to do it. They want to go with the rules, and that's understand what's the steps exactly, and that's they will start doing that. So before that, I'm agreed they don't
Well, let's-
realize what exactly they have to do.
Excuse me. You got a question, Sonia?
Well, it's more of a statement to go along with Perry, because I was going to ask the very same question. As far as a year ago, they've had a year ago, and going over these and looking at these, nothing has been changed, and this is in August. And if this has gone on a year ago and they don't quite understand, to me, they should have already been up here and spoke to staff and asked them exactly what it was they needed to do before bringing it back to us.
I think the only reason it's back is because of another complaint, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So they've had a year, and you say they don't understand the paperwork and whatnot. Well, they understand enough to know that how to run this business, evidently. I mean, that's some kind of, that's pretty involved paperwork when you're dealing with a bunch of automobiles and that type thing. And to understand these requirements, they just need to make an appointment. But everyone needs to understand this site is in violation. And shortly, this gentleman will probably address it in another way. So I would highly recommend that they pay more attention to the zoning ordinance and, a proper fence, a proper plan presented, proper gating, whatever they come up with that the staff would appreciate and recommend approval on. That's, I think that's probably what needs to be done. So anyway, to go further, anyone else have any other questions for the applicant? And does anyone else here wish to address case 4131? Yes, sir, come forward, please. If you would step back, sir, we'll hear from this gentleman.
Haskell Evans, 5925 Franklin Road, and the current commissioner for the area in question. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, it's a wonderful thing that these meetings are recorded, and you can go back and watch them. I know my memory tends to get a little bit foggy over time. I'm sure that y'all and your youth is very vivid in your memories, but pretty much everything we've heard this morning was said a year ago. And as far as the commercial requirements and what the applicant needed to do, that was also addressed at the time.
I think we reviewed all that with them at the time, if I
Yes, sir.
remember.
And Mr. Tom was going to take them downstairs and show them, give them the documents that they needed to produce in order to come into compliance. So I believe that the board is on the right path. I just wanted to throw that out there, that that is a very great thing, that you can go back and watch previous meetings anytime there's a refresher needed. So when there's I won't say blatant disregard for proper procedure, but it sure does appear to be. I've also been made aware by one of the neighbors that there's possible issues with the state as well that just kind of compounds that and goes along with, just going forth and doing what you want to do. So, thanks, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Melissa McCrary, and I represent the family who lives next door at 1636 Murfreesboro Road. The property belongs to the Martha Dornan Trust. We have found out in doing some research ourselves, as Mr. Evans just stated, that the applicant with the lot next door has not complied with the state environmental requirements. They are required to apply for a multi-sector industrial permit due to the caustic and contamination chemicals that are used in auto repair, those types of things that can result in detrimental things to the waterway. There is a creek next door that runs between Mom's property and this property that leads all the way to downtown Lebanon, which we are trying to protect. And yes, it does look like a junkyard. We are trying to do some repairs to that home now to be able to use it as a residential family gathering place for our family. And we don't want that property contaminated. In my prior career as a banker and a commercial lender, I have dealt with people who have had to deal with phase 1 and phase 2 operations related to cleanup of environmental properties, and it is an extremely expensive situation and something that we don't want to have to go through. The neighbors next door don't want to have to go through. The creek runs back to the back of our property, back around and back across the street to Shady Acres Campground, which my family just sold, and to the neighbors next door, and then the creek runs all the way to downtown Lebanon. So we would very much appreciate your all's help in trying to protect that environment out there and the neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which lot is yours on the map?
The one that has the red, it's not quite 14 acres.
Okay, you would be right below it, correct?
If you go into the property from Highway 231, their property is just to the left of the driveway that goes down. It's a gravel driveway, and then goes way back into the property where the home is. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
But it does. It looks like a junkyard. It's pretty bad.
Anyone else wish to address this case? Okay, we're going to close the public comment period now, and turning to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny request based on staff recommendation.
Have a motion to deny case 4131 based on staff recommendations. Have a second. Any discussion?
Who seconded? Tanya?
Sonia? As far as discussion goes, just let me add that I believe this is pretty blatant, and I hope that the staff and county attorney will pay special attention to this case. And if there's no more discussion, all in favor of the motion vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. Our next case is case 4199, John McKinney, requesting a variance of 8 feet from the east side yard setback requirement of 20 feet. The existing deck is 12 feet from the east side. A variance of 28 feet from the rear setback requirement of 40 feet. The existing house is 12 feet from the rear property line. This variance will allow the applicant to place a cover over the existing deck. Applicant is also requesting a variance of 7 feet from the east side yard setback requirement of 10 feet and a variance of 7 feet from the rear yard setback requirement of 10 feet and a variance of 2 feet from the setback requirement of 8 feet between structures. The existing detached structure is 3 feet from the east side property line, 3 feet from the rear property line, and 6 feet from the existing house. The property also needs a variance of 25 feet from the lot width requirement of 125 feet and a variance of 60,450 square feet from the lot size requirement of 80,000 square feet. The property is located at 708 Pebble Point, Lot 5. Pebble Point subdivision is Group B, Parcel 1, on Wilson County Tax Map 24H. The property consists of approximately 19,550 square feet and is zoned A1 agricultural. We'll get staff recommendations now on 4199.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to read the recommendations to save time. I'm not going to read all the variances again that just bring the lot into compliance because it's an older lot of record. I'm just going to reread the one that has to do with the existing proposed construction, if that's okay.
Okay, I'm looking at 4199. That's correct?
Yes,
right?
sir.
And y'all have only got a paragraph on it.
I'm asking to not reread all that.
Yeah, please don't. Go ahead.
Okay.
I didn't want to read it the first time. It got so lengthy.
The applicant, for the proposed construction on this tract of record, the applicant is requesting a variance of 8 feet from the east side yard setback requirement of 20 feet, and that is proposed to cover the deck on the property. This is an older tract of record with the lot being created in May of 1962. Therefore, staff can recommend approval.
Okay, so just to clarify, that one variance is what he actually...
That's what he needs for the construction. The rest of the variances that you read are because it's an older lot of record and it does not meet our minimum requirements.
Gotcha.
We're just cleaning the title work up for that particular lot. Your approval will take into consideration all of those that you read, but the one for the proposed construction, all he really needs is the 8-foot side yard setback.
Okay, I got you. Okay, who's here to represent 4199 John McKinney? Yes, sir. Name and
John
address,
McKinney.
please.
Good morning, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm here, longtime resident of Wilson County.
Name and address, please.
708 Pebble Point Road, Lebanon, Tennessee.
Now go ahead.
And a longtime resident of Wilson County. I've been at this address for about 10 years, since 2014. And like I said, been blessed with the funds to do some home improvements. That's why I'm here. And Miss Karen Murphy advised that needed the variance, so.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant from the board? So again, the real variance that changes things is the variance that he's needing to get the top on the deck.
Correct. It's an
And everything else is cleaning up title work.
Yes, sir. It's an existing patio. He's just covering it, which requires the variance.
Got you. Okay. And does the board have any questions for the applicant?
You're just covering an existing structure, deck that's already there.
That is there.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else here wish to address this case? If not, I'll close the public comment period. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we'll turn to the board for a motion or further discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve based on staff's recommendation and the testimony given.
I have a motion to approve 4199 based on staff recommendations. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor of the motion, vote aye. Aye. Opposition, vote no. And the ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Our next case is case 4200, Frederick Powers requesting a variance of 1 foot from the east and west side yard setback requirements of 20 feet and a variance of 12 feet from the rear yard setback requirement of 40 feet. The variance will allow the applicant to replace the existing house. The proposed house will be 19 feet from the east and west side property lines and 28 feet from the rear property line. The property also needs a variance of 50 feet from the lot width requirement of 125 feet and a variance of 63,125 square feet from the lot size requirement of 80,000 square feet. The property is located at 723 Pebble Point, Lot 11. Pebble Point subdivision is Group A, Parcel 6 on Wilson County Tax Map 24H. The property consists of 16,875 square feet and is zoned A1 agricultural. We get staff recommendations now on 4200.
Mr. Chair, the applicant at case 4200 is requesting a variance of 1 foot from the east and west side yard setback requirements of 20 feet and a variance of 12 feet from the rear yard setback requirement of 40 feet. This is an older tract of record with the lot being created in November of '61, and there is precedent in this particular neighborhood. Staff can recommend approval. Again, the other variances that you listed regarding lot size and lot width are to clean up the title due to it being a non-conforming lot.
Okay. Who's here to represent 4200 Powers? Yes, sir. You'd like to come forward, please? Name and address, please.
Frederick Powers, 723 Pebble Point Road, Lebanon, Tennessee.
And is there anything you'd like to share with the board?
Long-term resident of Wilson County and just plan to tear down an old home and build a new structure there.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Is the rear yard variance, will it be against core property?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to put that in there for the record. Okay.
The board have any other questions for the applicant? If not, does anyone else here wish to address 4200 Powers? If there are no other comments, I'll close the public comment period, turn into the board for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Have a motion to approve case 4200 based on staff recommendations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. Thank you, sir. The next case is case 4201. Veronica Dillon is requesting to use the pool and outdoor space for events. The applicant is also requesting a variance of 9 feet from the south side yard setback requirement of 10 feet for an existing accessory structure. The accessory structure is 1 foot from the south side yard property line. The property is located at 1655 Horn Springs Road, Lot 2, Reasonover property, Parcel 23, on Wilson County Tax Map 46. The property consists of 6.27 acres and is zoned R1 residential. We get staff recommendations now on 4201.
Mr. Chair, the applicant is requesting to use the pool and outdoor space for events. The applicant is also requesting a variance of 9 feet from the south side yard setback requirement of 10 feet for an existing accessory structure that they intend on turning into a restroom. Event venues are a permissible use by right on properties over 15 acres or on properties that otherwise meet provisions for agricultural use, as granted by the state of Tennessee. Because this property is only 6.27 acres and event venues are not specified use on appeal for A1 zone properties under 15 acres, staff cannot recommend approval of the event center use. During site review of the property, the applicant stated that the accessory structure existed prior to them purchasing the property. Therefore, staff can view this particular aspect a hardship and can recommend approval of the setback variance for the accessory structure. So I've split that into two. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. The restroom facility that they are utilizing, they have installed a separate septic system for that facility.
Okay. Who's here to represent 4201?
I have one comment for staff really quickly. I don't think it matters, but I'm thinking, it says this is R1 possibly, and in your comments, you made reference to it being maybe A1. But I'm assuming everything would be the same.
It would be, that might be an error on my comments. I believe it is R1 on Horn Springs. I think Horn Springs, the entire street is R1. That's an error on my comments. I apologize. But yes, that would not change.
That wouldn't change
That
it.
would not change the intent of it
Okay.
because they have the same acreage threshold for Greenbelt and R1 as they do A1.
Okay, right. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Who's here to represent De Leon on 4201? Yes, would you like to come forward, please? And name and address, please.
My name is Veronica De Leon, and my address is 1655 Horn Springs Road, Lebanon, Tennessee, 37087.
And what would you like to tell the board?
We are planning to do some small events, no more than 40 people, and we have the space to do it. And what I want to share is that this was built for a family, like family reunions only. But when COVID hit, we had a really, really bad financially issues, so we started thinking how we can go through it. So one of our friends recommended us to do the rental. So I Googled it some, and I found this app called Swimply. So I got in contact with them, and they seems to be okay with to continue doing this. So we tried to do it for a few times. But again, we have some rules planned, no, only on the weekends, no past 10 o'clock, no microphones, no loud music, no noises. And of course, we are very willing to work with our neighbors to not interrupt their time, and the peace. So, yes.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the applicant?
I got a question. Is this going to be rented out to people for stays,
What, I'm sorry.
like an Airbnb?
No, we
People
not.
going to stay there?
We live in our house, and this is an open place, so I don't think they can stay over the night.
Okay.
So it's for events only?
Yes.
And we see in the packet, that you have a sketch here, but I'm wondering, where do people park? Where do 40 people park?
We have, our driveway is pretty far, so I have a picture there too, I think.
Yeah, I see it here, but I mean, there's no gravel or,
Oh, there's another picture where the cars are parked.
yeah, I saw that.
On the grass, on the side of the driveway. And we don't block anybody, it's nothing on the road, of course.
Yeah.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
What is this that I'm,
Yeah, this is the one that is existed already when we bought the house. We got the permission to do it. It's almost done, and, yeah, but we have all the permits to do that.
So you've already been doing this?
Yeah, and we have the permit.
She's saying they have the septic permit and the building permit for the modification, not the,
Not the use?
correct.
Gotcha.
And Christopher, to be clear, the zoning ordinance is to have an event-type center. You need, it either needs to be agricultural or 15 acres. Is that correct, or is the 15 acres a part of the agricultural?
Well, the 15 acres is the Greenbelt rule, but
I understand
we
that.
had a satellite farm that was declared.
Well, and let me, what if I had 15 acres, but I was not in Greenbelt or anything else that had no farm? Would 15 acres in and of itself give me a right to do this?
We would probably view that as a right to do that.
Okay, all
Because
right.
we're not going to go in on somebody that has the 15-acre threshold that can meet the state minimum requirement.
Okay, all right.
Because we've already been,
So this is
we've been beaten by that case.
This is R1 out on Horn Springs.
Yes, sir.
So,
6
and this
acres.
is what?
6 acres?
6.27 acres.
acres.
And it is not a use permissible by right.
Event centers are not in the R1 or the A1 district. We've taken them out as a use permissible, and just since if they meet that 15-acre threshold, it's a use allowed.
So it's not in A1 or R1. This is not a permissible use or by right or on appeal.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Does the board have any more questions for the applicant?
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
I've noticed here that you have in the front, you have a lot of parking. Are they going to be parking in your yard?
Yes, we have a driveway, and on the side, they park. Even when our family comes, they do, and we have no problems with that.
How many people are you talking about parking in your yard?
We're planning on no more than 40 people at a time, so we're talking probably the most.
40 people?
So we're talking probably the most 15 cars at a time, and there's a picture there somewhere that it's around the same amount of cars. And they can go and turn around and go. I mean, it's an easy way to get out.
I'm getting there. Okay, does anyone else have questions? And, well, I thought I had that sheet in here, something I do. Was this the one you were looking at? No, that's another one. That's this one. I got you, okay. All right, does anyone else here wish to address? Okay, if you would, ma'am, step aside and let this gentleman come forward. Okay. Are you going to speak? Yeah, I'll get to you just as soon as he gets through.
Thank you for hearing me. So the original...
Name and address, please.
Kevin Dilly, 1629 Horn Springs Road, Lot A and B. The original structure was a cinder block structure that they're asking for the variance on. It is 6 inches off the property line. They have plumbed it, and the plumbing actually runs immediately up to the property line. And so it runs around the back of the building, and it marries up right with the property line. When they first started this, originally they dug a septic tank on my property, which is still has not been fixed. Then they came in at 11 o'clock at night, dug it up, because I told them they needed a permit, and they put it on the other side of the lot. I said, you still need a permit. It was an illegal tank. So they applied for a septic permit under the guise of a one-bedroom house. So it's a residential septic, and 750-gallon tank. So when we invested in this piece of property, I had Crockett Surveying come out, subdivided into 2 lots. The lot adjacent to their property is where we intend to build our house. Our house location will be 25 feet away from this restroom, 50 feet away from the event center, our back porch. So not only is it going to be a noise problem and just a peaceful issue at our home, that's why we purchased that property, to move out of town and enjoy the atmosphere. But there have been as many as 100 cars there. They've been parked all the way down the driveway. They have gone way past 10 o'clock at night. They are using microphones and speakers, and my concern is that we want to protect the valuation of our property. And with it being that close to our property, we see that as a severely negatively impactful when we do build our house next year. So that's our objection.
So the accessory structure is existing,
Yes, sir, they did not.
okay, and that's the pictures in the back of our packet here.
That's the bathroom.
Yeah, that's the bathrooms, okay. All right.
And these are our listed objections, as well as they've been marketing this outside of family since May. In addition to that, during their events, we've had, and there's a picture attached, people urinating behind their event center when my minor son was on with us out there. And so it's just the whole unstructured, we don't want an event center located on, within 25 feet of our back porch.
Okay.
And so we would ask for it to be denied.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Who else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Melissa Dilly. We have 1629 Horton Springs Road. We bought this property to eventually build a house out there. I grew up on 12 acres in Western New York. I moved here in '97, and it really kind of mimicked the straight back land that we had. And when this came about and we found out this was going on, it just, it's very, very upsetting because we didn't buy this beautiful property to live next to an event center. We also, I had a grandbaby born this morning. It was very disturbing to see. My husband told me and showed me the picture of the men going to the bathroom. I don't want my grandbaby out there, my granddaughter out there. We have a minor son as well. We also have a well house, I would say 25 feet from this bathroom. I don't know what the complications could be with that, but that overflows or it's gonna run to our property. We also have animals on that property. And the way it runs, like when the pool's backflowed, it runs on our property. So I know that it runs that way. I'm trying to think. We just didn't buy the property to have an event center next to us. So it's very disappointing.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it has already been used. It's been advertised, so.
Yeah, we see that. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Come forward, please, sir.
I'm Sean McBride. I live across the street at 1656 Horn Springs Road. They've been great neighbors. I've seen the parking, never really thought about any issues. I don't know that that's zoned or properly zoned to meet the requirements for an event center under the current situation. I don't know anything about their financial situation, but they've been fantastic neighbors. The existing building that they're talking about against the accessory building on the side, I've been in that from the prior owners because we used to go over there for a while. I just don't think it's zoned correctly. I don't think it's a proper use for this situation.
According to the staff, it is not. Who else? Let's let this gentleman go. He hadn't had an opportunity. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Donovan Coble, 1695 Horton Springs Road. It's the house directly north of the De Leon's place. Just wanted to say a couple things. I'm a retired police officer and detective. My father, who lives there, is a retired police officer. That is to say that we know a problem home when we see one, and this is not that. We've lived there for years, since before they moved in. This structure has been there. Every event that's been there has not been an issue at all. There's nobody closer to that structure than us, not by double. The next closest house is more than double the amount of distance away. It's never been an issue. Everything's shut down at 10. We've never had an issue with them. The parking situation that they're talking about, we do the same thing. Just park cars at 45 in the grass when we have events. There's no issue with it. Say it again, sir?
You have events also at your house?
Oh, yeah. I mean, personal events, just family things.
Events.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I'm not renting it out or anything like that. But yeah, we have the same amount of people over at our house. I've never seen more than 30 cars over there maximum. Never. I've never seen it. I also haven't seen anybody drunk stumbling out to their car. As I said, I'm a police officer. I wouldn't be okay living next to that. My parents wouldn't be okay living next to that. We don't even hear their events 90% of the time. And when we do, I mean, maybe for a couple of minutes and then it calms down. This, it's called an event center. What happens there is, like, they're families. It's graduation parties. It's quinceañeras.
I don't
It's
think
stuff-
all that's the use here, though, sir. The issue, it is not an allowable use according to the law.
Right, and I don't know if you're allowed to, I don't even know if you're allowed to approve it or not based on what's written in the law. But I'm saying if you are, this is not a,
Well, if we vary to that degree, we would have to have an awfully good reason, and so far I haven't heard one.
right. And all I'm saying is they're good, hardworking people, and the structure is not an issue. Nobody's affected by it more than us. That's all I'm saying. So I hope that you approve it.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we got people want to speak the second time. Now, I'll let you speak, but keep in mind, everybody here has a case they want to be heard, and we only need new information. We don't need to hear the same thing. So go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that the bathrooms, we were making the bathrooms, was existing already. And I remember correctly when we buy the house, the lady who sold us the house was walking with us, and she told us it's from this piece to this piece. Of course, I don't remember numbers, to be honest. And we did apologize several times to Mr. Kevin for whatever we did that he hated it so much. I know I don't supposed to say this here, but I think he has a personal issue with us because anything we do, even with my own family, my 3 girls and my husband and I, he parks on the middle of his yard just looking towards us. And this is very often. And again, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say it, but,
That's not relevant here, ma'am.
okay, thank you so much. And
Do you have any new information that you haven't already given us?
well, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. New information.
Here's the plat marked where the house is going to be and where the restroom's located at. And where I park, I feed my goats, so I have to park there in order to be able to feed my goats and my Pyrenees. And so, they're nice enough people, and we always got along. I just disagree with a commercial event center being located on this property.
Ma'am, do you have something else new?
I do from
You'll have to come up to the podium.
Look at this.
I was made aware about a Facebook post that was in the group of Plantation South, and I screenshotted a resident there that said that they and I guess it was in the back behind their property, but they didn't feel like they should hear a DJ and a sound system from their child's bedroom at 11 o'clock at night. They said there's...
That's something you saw on Facebook that somebody else put on there.
Yeah, so real relevant. Okay, I apologize.
That's new, but it's not admissible as far as we're concerned. It's,
Oh, and I don't know if this makes any difference, but the structure that they're talking about that's now the public restroom, because I believe they told my husband that to have events, they were told they had to have a public restroom, so that's why this building came into effect. But we also, there was no roof on the building. Trees had fallen, grown up in it. It was a mess. It really looked like it needed to be torn down. And so they started taking the roof off. And so that's when we said, we've got Paul Crockett coming out next week. We want to make sure that that existing is not on our property because it's so close. So I don't know if that makes any difference with the existing structure of that public restroom, but I thought I would add that. Thank you.
anyone else? If not, we'll close the public comment period.
Mr. Chair, I've got just some cleanup comments.
Yes, sir.
The approval or denial of the request for the event center, that's not going to prohibit this person from having any sort of family events out there. I just wanted to make the public aware. It's just going to prohibit them from renting the structure out to the public, but it's within their right on their property to have any sort of family events, or if they have family that's getting married and they offer the property, that's up to them as long as it's not leased out for a profit. Also, we do not regulate what gets put inside of accessory structures unless it's an ADU, and that has to go through a specific inspection. So there's nothing that would prohibit us from allowing somebody to put a restroom with its own septic in a workshop or an outbuilding.
Got you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Public comment period has been closed, and staff has made their final comments. In regard to case 4201, I'll turn to the board for any discussion or a motion.
I have one question. Karen, this residential bedroom application for a sewer says 1 bedroom. Is the sewer an issue? Do we know of it? I mean, it's approved and the septic system.
Are you talking about for the existing home?
No.
Just,
That's her permit.
That-
To my knowledge, that is her permit that she received for putting the bathroom in the existing septic, existing structure. And that's going to have its own, will it have its own septic system?
That's what they said, yes.
Yes.
That would be the same permit you would get if you were to put a bathroom in an outbuilding and you wanted to not tie it into your existing system.
Correct.
okay.
Any further discussion by the board? Any other questions for staff?
I just kind of want to make a statement. Based on testimony given, it would appear you guys are really good people and really good neighbors, and they speak highly of you. This is not about being a good person or being a good neighbor. This is about the zoning law. You know, I consider zoning laws sometimes to be comparable to traffic laws. You can be a good person, but you still can't run red lights in the middle of town, or you can't drive 100 miles an hour, you know. But anyway, so based on staff recommendations and testimony that we've heard, I will move that we deny the event center use. And if you want, the accessory structure, we can do it in another motion, or I can do it all in one.
Just do it. If you want to, you can make your motion to do whatever with the event center.
Okay.
Whatever with the setback.
All right, and then I will grant the variance, the 9 foot for the setback on the accessory structure.
Okay, I have a motion to deny the event center request and grant the variance on the setback for the accessory structure. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion by the board. Okay, if there's no discussion, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. The ayes have it. All right, thank everyone for coming. All right, our next case is case 4202, Donnie Mangrum requesting a variance of 1 foot from the west side yard setback requirement of 15 foot for the existing house. The existing house is 14 feet from the west side property line. The variance will allow an addition to be made to the rear of the house. The addition will meet all setback requirements. The property is located at 204 Brookside Cove, Lot 33, Stonebrook Falls, being Group A, Parcel 33 on Wilson County Tax Map 25H. The property consists of .58 acres and is zoned R1 residential. We'll get staff comments now on 4202.
Mr. Chair, comments for 4202. Applicant is requesting a variance of 1 foot from the west side yard setback requirement of 15 feet for the existing home. While this is not an older tract of record with the lot being created in 2005, staff believes the applicant faces a hardship as the home was built in violation prior to them purchasing it. The addition that they are proposing will meet all setback requirements. Therefore, staff can recommend approval of the setback variance for the existing home.
Okay, who's here to represent 4202 Mangrum? Yes, sir.
Donnie Mangrum, 204 Brookside Cove, this home.
Anything special you'd like to tell us, sir?
Not really. We're looking to build a sunroom and screen porch on the back of the home. And when I presented the sketch I'd made for the building permit, got to Karen, she questioned whether that front corner of the house was closer than it should be to the property line.
Okay, so
her records, interestingly enough, showed when the house was built that distance was 17 feet, which was outside the 15-foot allowance. But still, I paid a significant amount of money to have that lot surveyed to basically prove her point, that in fact it is 14 feet. Now, you know, standing here today wondering what we're really doing. I asked Karen, you want me to cut the corner of that house off? No. Well, then, you know, I didn't build a house. Built 18 years ago. I bought it 3 years ago. So That's really all. I don't know what else to say. And these people came out, a truck of 4 people, and looked it over and didn't see a problem.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the applicant? If not, does anyone else here wish to address 4202 Mangrum? And if not, I'll close public comment on 4202, turn to the board. And the staff has recommended approval based on your hardship. I'll make a motion we approve 4202 based on staff recommendations. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If there are none, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. Thank you, sir. Okay, our next case is 4203. Chris Funk is requesting a variance of 7 feet from the north side yard setback requirement of 20 feet and a variance of 5 feet from the south side yard setback requirement of 20 feet. The variance will allow the proposed house to be 13 foot from the north side yard property line and 15 feet from the south side yard property line. The property also needs a variance of 50 feet from the lot width requirement of 125 feet and a variance of 65,000 square feet from the lot size requirement of 80,000 square feet. The property is located at 624B Westview Drive, Lot 9, Lakeshore Acres, being Group B, Parcel 26 on Wilson County Tax Map 27K. The property consists of approximately 15,000 square feet. We'll get staff recommendations on 4203.
Mr. Chair, comments for 4203. This is an older tract of record with the lot being created in June of 1957. Therefore, staff can recommend approval. There are similar variances in this neighborhood, as this is an older subdivision. Staff can recommend approval.
Okay, and this is up against the core property, isn't it?
Yes, sir. The rear yard abuts the core property.
I got you. Okay, who's here to represent 4203 Funk? Yes, come forward, please, sir.
Morning. Chris Funk. I live at 619 Westview Drive, right across the street from this lot. Just here to get the approval to build a new house.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the applicant?
I got one question.
Go ahead.
We got a picture here. Looks like there's a fifth wheel on the property. Is that your?
Yeah, it's my camper just sitting there.
So are you living in it?
No, sir. No, I live across the street.
Oh, you live across the street?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? If not, does anyone else here wish to address 4203? Yes, sir. Come forward, please. Yes, sir.
My name's Russell Waller.
Address, please.
I'm his neighbor.
Mm-hmm. And what's your address, though?
622 Westview Drive.
Okay, go ahead.
He's come in there, I don't know what kind of permits he's got. Gilly has done drug in, which I retired from Gilly Trucking. He's done trucked in 50 loads of dirt, asphalt, and all kind of stuff and put in this lot. He's raised his lot up and put all the water in the neighborhood on me. He's put storm drain from one side of his property to the other, and it was all open ditch, but his in the whole neighborhood. He's put all that water on me. I have an open front ditch, all the water run to the front. He's raised his front yard to the road, and that's a subgrade. And I can't have that. He's put, every time it rains, my driveway has this much water in it now.
Well, you have two options. You can go and see the county stormwater people.
I know.
Or you can go to see somebody privately.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I don't know that any of that has anything to do with a setback, so.
Well, what about the septic tank? What's the requirements on a septic tank being on close to the line there?
Well,
and out of the ground.
There are state requirements on. There are state requirements on the septic tank.
And he's not in.
And he
not
may be,
in line with it.
you'll let me speak, I may answer your questions, but if you're going to talk over me, no good in us being here, is there?
Say what?
There's no good in us being here if you're not going to let me answer your questions. I'm going to try to answer them.
I'm trying to tell you what's wrong.
Okay?
I ain't seen a permit a building permit or nothing.
Well, sir, I don't know if we're here to discuss his building permits.
We're here for codes.
No, we're here to consider variances on the setback.
Okay. Well, I don't.
And these setback lines were established after the lot was established, correct, Chris?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And so therefore, the law says he's due forgiveness
Forgiveness.
on his setback lines.
What about his elevation?
We're not here to discuss elevations. We're not, no, sir, we're not. That's all we're here to talk about is the setback lines. Now, if that's just all there is.
So he's going to build a big old house.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Because he's wanting to move his house on me.
We don't know what he's going to do.
Well, I do. He's right there.
I don't know that you do. But here's the thing. If you want to participate in the discussion on the setbacks, that's fine.
Okay.
But we're not going to waste everybody else's time, mine and yours both, talking about things we can't do anything about right now. You have the option of the state groundwater people you can speak to. We don't do groundwater. You have the option of the county stormwater people that you can speak to. And then you have private remedies.
Thank you.
That's all we can do.
Okay. I don't even know why I came here then. Y'all sent me a letter to come here to speak to this or agree with it.
We sent you a letter that it was going on. It was your decision whether you came or not. I appreciate your comments. Okay. Does anyone else here wish to address this case? If there's not, then I'll close the public comment period and turn it to the board on 4203.
I'll make a motion to approve based on staff recommendation.
I have a motion to approve 4203 based on staff recommendations.
Second.
And I have a second. All right. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. Thank you, sir. Our next case is case 4204. Jesus Alunda is requesting a variance of 10 feet from the west side yard setback requirement of 15 feet and a variance of 1 foot from the east side yard setback requirement of 15 feet. The existing house is 14 feet from the east side property line. The existing internal accessory dwelling quarters is 5 feet from the west side yard property line. The applicant is also requesting a variance of 136 square feet from the size requirement of 600 square feet for an accessory dwelling unit. The property is also needing a variance of 5 feet from the lot width requirement of 90 feet and a variance of 27,200 square feet from the lot size requirement of 40,000 square feet. The property is located at 224 Blue Ridge Drive, Lot 73, Shiloh Park is Group C, Parcel 6, on Wilson County Tax Map 52L. The property consists of approximately 12,800 square feet and is zoned R1 residential. We get staff recommendations now on 4204.
All right, Mr. Chair, for case 4204, the applicant is requesting a variance of 10 feet from the west side yard setback requirement of 15 feet. That particular variance is going to be for the accessory dwelling unit that has been placed on site, and I apologize for this, but this is going to be broken down into 2 different recommendations. And the variance of 1 foot from the east side yard setback requirement of 15 feet, that's for the pre-existing home, as well as the variance of 136 square feet from the size requirement of 600 square feet for the internal accessory dwelling quarters.
Hold up right there, Chris. Now, that's 1 foot for the east side yard setback requirement of 15 foot and 136 square feet for the size requirement. And what was the other one?
It's 10 feet from the west side yard
10 feet.
setback.
Okay, I got it, okay. Got you, go ahead.
The variance, I'm going to get what I feel is the simpler one out of the way first. The variance of 1 foot on the east side is for the primary residence on the property, which was built in 1973, which predates our zoning ordinance. Staff can recommend approval of the east side yard setback variance as the structure does predate the Wilson County zoning ordinance. The requested variances for the accessory dwelling unit is the 10 feet from the west side yard setback variance and a variance of 136 square feet for the maximum size requirement for an ADU. The ADU will also need a separation variance on top of what is requested due to our field review between structures of 6 feet, as the current structure is 2 feet from the principal structure on the property. The structure was built in 2020, the ADU, without a permit, and this is the start of the process to remedy some of the violations in regards to the accessory dwelling unit. Given the language in the zoning ordinance, staff cannot recommend approval of the variances for setbacks and the size of the accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, gotcha. Who's here to represent 4204? Yes, sir.
My name is Jesus Alduenda, 224 Blue Ridge Drive. In 2020, when I started building this, it was a project for my daughter who has a special needs. In 2020, when I started, I didn't do it without the permit. I tried to come and get a permit, but that's exactly when COVID hit and the office was closed, and I was trying to get it as a homeowner. So I got an engineer who was like, come like 3 times, and he's the one that was like telling me like what I needed to be done. And when I came the next time, they said that I needed to make an appointment. Okay, so it was so hard to try to get a permit as a homeowner because the office was closed. I didn't know
Wait
that.
just a minute, the office was closed how long during COVID? You remember?
About 3 weeks, and then it was opened back up.
Go ahead. I just
As
wanted
an
to clarify.
appointment needed.
Yeah. So when I came, it was closed. So I got an engineer and we got pictures from day 1 to day 2. And the structure is there right now, but everything on the inside is open, so it's not like a finished completely. It's not done. And one of the reasons why I stopped doing it is because through COVID, I lost my brother. And when I lost my brother, it was really hard, like for me. But then 2 months later, my father passed away too. And then 2.5 months later, my mom passed away too. And so it was really hard for me to lose 3 people. And then 6 months later, my sister passed away. So I lose four people. And then that's one of the reasons why all this happens. And my brothers, everybody's on the construction business. I got 12 brothers, and they're the ones that help me to finish the outside, so I don't lose the money that I put, because it was raining, the weather, and they just finished the outside, my roof, so that I didn't lose like the money that I spent. But that's just the only reason.
Questions from the board for the applicant? Okay. Does anyone else here wish to address 4204?
I've got a quick question. This is I'm just reading through the comment. So this accessory dwelling unit is for your daughter, and she's 24 years of age currently. Okay.
My doctor, and like you got a letter, my doctor is like, and I mean, I'm not gonna like tell you the whole story because it's just like, I mean, it's long, but the last time we went to the doctor said, as your daughter gets older, it's gonna be harder. And so that's why we wanted to have something really close that we can just keep eye on her, okay? She thinks
Sir, let me interrupt you. No one has more sympathy for sickness than this board, but all that has, we can't consider any of that. We have to consider the zoning ordinance and the law as it stands.
Yeah, well, I got that engineer letter right there. I got the pictures and everything, like inspector, like if I can pull my permit, the inspector can still come and inspect the structure because it's not completely finished. I mean, it can be inspect. That's what I'm trying to say. And I stopped because I knew that I needed to stop. But the outside, the only reason why it looks like that, like it's finished, is because my brothers, they didn't want it, like it was getting wet, and the wood, you know, with the sun and the weather, it bends. But the inside is completely not finished.
I understand, but you didn't have to proceed.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't have to. You did, but maybe it was convenient, maybe you thought that was the right thing to do, but you didn't have to proceed.
Now I'm responsible.
Okay. The board have any other questions for the applicant? And if not, does anyone else here wish to address 4204? Jesus Alunda.
Alduenda is Portuguese, yeah, Alduenda.
Alunda.
Alduenda.
I get it close.
Close.
Okay. All right, anyone else wish to address this case? If not, we'll close that public comment period and turn into the board for further discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I need to clean up one of mine. I was told that the applicant does intend to connect the structures if the variance is granted, so the separation variance would not be needed for, I
already did.
Okay.
I mean, I know how to frame.
Okay.
And my brother helped me, and we did it connected. So like through my house, you can walk like right to there, and it's already done, but it's just the frame. And it's just the frame ready for me to go inspect and to come and look at it, you know, so.
Okay, so with that being said, the separation variance will not need to be considered. The
Well, it's
structures
no
are.
longer an ADU, so it doesn't need a size variance.
It does still. We have a requirement for internal ADUs.
Oh, internal.
Still have a size variance.
I got you.
The only forgiveness this board has given for that is when, it's been given twice, and that's when documentation has been presented for wheelchair needs or special needs uses for an ADU. Other than that, the board is not.
Say that again. We've made exceptions.
The
for
board
medical.
has approved 2 variances for accessory dwelling units in the past for excessive size, and that has been with documentation for wheelchair needs or special needs uses for that particular applicant. Now, I know you can't tie that to a specific person. It's going to go with the property forever, but those have been the only 2 instances in the past. But you can, since he has attached the structures, you do not need to worry about the separation, but we still do have an internal dwelling unit.
We have an internal dwelling unit and an external dwelling unit.
Yes, sir. And they both have the same square footage requirement.
Okay. All right. Anything else? You good?
Yes, sir, unless you have other questions.
Turn it to the board for a motion or further discussion. This one's got quite a bit to it. I'm going to make a stab at it. In regard to the first paragraph there, which is the first group of variances, I move that we approve the 10-foot setback variance from the west side yard. And I move we approve the 1-foot variance for the east side yard. And I move that we approve the 136-foot variance for the internal accessory structure. And that's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, we'll handle the other bunch with another motion second.
Well, that's actually all of
You covered them all.
No, I thought they were.
Well, there was a separation one, but that doesn't need to be considered anymore because he's attached the structures.
Well,
I think I've got lot width and lot size.
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah, there's an entirely separate group.
Well, the first paragraph in my comments is just reiterating all the variances, and then the second paragraph breaks the what was needed for the primary residence, and then the third paragraph is what's needed for the internal and accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, well, then I withdraw my motion. I misunderstood.
All right.
The whole motion?
The whole motion's withdrawn. Now, let me,
No, I believe this law's on septic out here. I'm not 100% familiar. It might be on Metro Consolidated. I'm not.
It's a sewer, it's not a septic tank.
It'd be on Metro Consolidated.
Okay, so excuse me, I misunderstood and I mislabeled my notes. I apologize. I move that we approve the 1-foot east side yard for the primary residence. I move that we approve the 1-foot setback variance for the primary residence. Let me put it that way. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the 1-foot east side yard variance for the primary residence. I have a second. Any discussion?
Are we, in approving that, are you denying everything else, or are we going to address that later?
I was going to open the floor for
Okay, all right. I just clarifying that. Go ahead.
Because staff's recommended approval on that one.
I'm with you.
Okay. So if there's no discussion, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. Okay. Now the floor is open for a motion in regard to the other, I guess, 3 variances.
The remaining variances will be pertaining to the accessory dwelling unit, correct?
Correct.
And I will move that we approve these based on the testimony that was given by the applicant, based on the, we have a letter here from a doctor pertaining to the medical needs of his daughter who will be staying there. So I won't, part of my approval is based on this letter from a doctor.
Okay.
Is that?
I have jumped the gun here on this one, I think, because I have not asked for other testimony.
Yeah, you did.
Did I?
Yeah, you asked for public comment. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, you
gotcha.
did.
All right.
Yeah. Nobody spoke, but you did ask.
It's gotten so confusing. I confused myself. Okay, so I have a motion then from Mr. Neal to approve the 10-foot west side yard variance, the 136-foot variance on the accessory dwelling unit size, and the 6-foot structure you said was not necessary.
Correct. That is not necessary. He is attached.
So this is for the 136 size variance and the 10-foot setback.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Do I have a second for Mr. Neal's motion? Have a motion and have a second. Now, discussion. And staff has recommended denial. Mr. Neal has made a motion to approve. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposition vote no, and I vote no. And so we have 4 in favor and 1 opposed. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, sir. Now, let me see. All right. We've been in session hour and 20 minutes or so. I'm going to declare a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back in 5 or minutes or a little more and try to finish our agenda. If I could have everyone's attention, please, we'll get back onto our agenda. Our next case is case 4205, Creekside Property Partners, LLC, requesting to use the property for a short-term rental. The property is located at 34 Cherry Point Court, Lot 34, Twin Cove, Group A, Parcel 4 on Wilson County Tax Map 14E. The property consists of approximately 21,000 square feet and is zoned A1 agricultural. We'll get staff recommendations on 4205.
Mr. Chair, recommendation for case 4205. Applicant is requesting to use the property for a short-term rental. Staff has received a business plan stating how the applicant considers using the property. If the use is granted, staff recommends that the business plan be made part of the approval and put the applicant on notice that if they are to add any sort of structure or expansion to the use of the property, they will have to come back before this board for a plot plan submittal and revised business plan approval. The business plan states the desired number of guests allowed per stay is 8, but does not provide the number of bedrooms the home is perked for. Typically, the board will allow 2 guests per bedroom. The business plan states that the caretaker is located within 10 miles from the property. Airbnb short-term rentals are used permissible upon appeal in the A1 zone district. Given the language in the zoning ordinance and with the applicant willing to submit some sort of septic records to have on file, staff can recommend approval. When the home was purchased, it was advertised as a 3-bedroom home. That's just extra information. That's not something we can necessarily consider for adequate septic records. If the board approves the request, the applicant will have to make their contact information available to WEMA, the building inspector, and the county sheriff's office. The applicant will also need to prove that they are or the caretaker live within 10 miles of the property before the house can function as a short-term rental. These types of requests are typically approved for a time frame basis and then have to come back before you for additional approval.
Okay. Who's here to represent 4205 Creekside Property Partners? Yes, sir.
Kenny Salas, 1016 Berea Church Road. So yeah, on this, we just mentioned something about Parkside, if I could get to that first. The approval of this home, there was a septic permit in place when we bought it. There was also a repair permit that was granted. So, you know, it predates, I assume it predates an actual initial permit, but there is a repair permit that's recorded with the state, all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't have a bedroom on there, and I guess that's why.
There's no bedroom on record? No bedroom count?
No, sir, not on the permits that were granted.
How many bedrooms are in the home?
4. Now, there is a permit. It's a repair permit from, it's in the packet. I don't remember when that permit was issued.
Yeah,
September 17.
Okay. And so, of course, that was before we had anything to do with the property. A few things. It's in an LLC. This is not a big company or anything. This is my family, friends of ours that live across the river from us. That's all. Whenever I was little, I grew up on Twin Cove Drive. Loved the area, going to the lake, all that kind of stuff. And so when this house came available for us to purchase, it was something that would be nice for our families to have again. We are planning to use it in the short term, or excuse me, in between times that we use it as an Airbnb. We do have multiple Airbnbs in other counties and even another state. I say that to say we do know what we're doing and how to manage these. We don't have complaints from neighbors at the others. We have quiet times. Our quiet times here, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. We just live just down the road, just off of Berea Church, so we're just off Coles Ferry too. When we bought the property, a few of the things we did on the picture that's up there right now. I don't know if you've got that one in front of you, but the one that's on the board, there's a shared driveway. So one of the first things we did was split that driveway. So now the neighbor to what is the right has their own driveway separated. We have our own driveway, and we did that at our cost. You can also tell the property lines on each side. We put up an 8-foot privacy fence down both sides to pretty much where you can see on that. And then the back of the property, we fenced in a different way so that it didn't obstruct the view, but also children could be in the yard, shouldn't be running into neighbors' properties or anything like that. So it's completely fenced back there with privacy on both sides. The deck that's kind of elevated because the whole property is elevated from the road to the lake. The deck that's elevated, it has privacy walls on both sides, again, so that there should be no looking across property lines or anything like that. And even the windows on either side of the home. There are no windows on either side of the home anymore. We close those off. Same thing, just wanting to provide privacy for the neighbors. We, like I said, grew up out there and love the area and are not trying to do anything different than.
Does this have access to the lake or the?
Yes, sir.
Does it have a boat dock?
Yes, sir. So the one that's there right now, that's just a little platform. We just, I don't know, a week ago, got a new dock and have taken it to there, but we haven't gone through the final steps of what needs to be done with the core and everything yet.
I noticed a complaint in here that was August 4th of this year. Do you want to address that, or?
I haven't even seen it. I know that I think that's how we got here, but I haven't actually seen it. I don't know what the complaint is.
Okay. You'll need to look at that and see what caused those issues.
Okay.
I don't know if it matters.
Mr. Neal, it actually reminded me, and I don't know that this is our jurisdiction, but I will make a note that in the past, at some point, the Corps had expressed misgivings about a permitted dock being used for a rental property or a short-term property.
Yes, sir.
I don't remember the specifics.
We'll look into that. What we've done, we plan to put our boat at that dock. We don't plan to have others using our boat or anything like that. So it's there, but we plan to have that dock as used for us. But yes, we'll look into
So the dock and boating is not part of the short-term
the
rental?
boat is not at all. Now, if someone were to walk down on Corps property, walk onto the dock, if it's not allowable per the Corps, then we would make that rule that, hey, you can't do that. But as of right now, this is a new dock, so we haven't even gone that route yet.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember what the deal was. It just seemed like it was brought up that the Corps considers this to be a private dock, and therefore the general public should not have access to it.
Okay.
And when you rent it out, that's to the general public. But that doesn't probably have any bearing for us. But
That was a letter that was submitted to the county commission when they were doing initial research on Airbnbs.
Yeah.
But the Corps released a letter prohibiting anybody's use from a dock or boat attached to that dock, except for the property owner.
Right.
And they did state at the end of the letter that they will revoke dock permits if they find out it's being
You're probably aware
attached to
there'll
an
be a
Airbnb.
packet come from the Corps with a lengthy list of do's and don'ts.
We have other property on the lake, and we've never received one, even on that property. So we have kind of the rules of what we can do and can't do, but we didn't receive it from the Corps, though. But yes, sir, we do have a list.
Odd. Well, questions for the applicant from the board? No? Are there others here that wish to address 4205? Yes. Yeah, come forward, please.
pictures that aren't in the packet.
Jeffrey Morris, 637 Twin Cove. My property is to the south of the property in question. And I'm also here to speak, if I may, on behalf of the Guthries. They got the notice too late to be able to attend this meeting, but they share the driveway. They're the property to the north. And they've had some problems. You know, the Creekside is a good organization, but they can't police the renters. And there's been vile language shouted from the deck to the shoreline, and the Guthries had to usher their teenage grandkids into the house to protect them from that. It's a quiet neighborhood. The very first time I was in front of this body was when Dan Evans was requesting an access to Cherry Point, which dead ends right on the property line of Belle Isle. And this board denied that, much to Mr. Evans' dismay. And I'm very happy that this board denied that, because now with Belle Isle being subdivided into 35 or more properties, well, Twin Cove and Cherry Point would be a thoroughfare with traffic flowing, coming and going. All these roads in this neighborhood are dead ends to cul-de-sac, dead ends in water. It's a quiet little neighborhood. We all drive a minimum of 15 miles to town in order to have that solitude and that nature and that quietness. We all know it's about 35 households in the neighborhood. And I don't begrudge anybody. I was in business my whole career, and I don't begrudge an entity making money. But that money's being made at the neighbor's expense. my expense, the solitude. Slamming doors, oh, I'm here, and, it's New Year's Eve for the renters. They're all coming here to gather up, family, get together, whatever. And, I make noise too, but it's been enforced. It hasn't, I've never been disturbed other than car doors slammed and that kind of thing. But, after 10 o'clock, there's still people coming and going. Cars have been parked out on the street, which Cherry Point really doesn't lend itself to cars being parked, and there's been more cars. They spill out over into the Guthrie's yard, and that has been corrected and addressed. But, this has been an Airbnb for months. It's not like, they're waiting for approval. It's been an Airbnb for months. So just on behalf of the neighborhood and all, I'd turn it around to y'all. If you were buying a house and your realtor said, oh, by the way, next door is an Airbnb, would you be inclined to buy that property? And so this money-making is at the expense of the neighborhood.
Well, let's clarify a few things. We're not here to talk about financials.
I understand.
We're here to, these folks have made a request, and the only thing in front of us is, do they meet the requirements that the law sets forth? The law says you can have one of these here if you meet these requirements and get an approval. That's the only question here. It's not about who lives where or anything of that nature. Now, I will say this. It's a little bit disappointing that folks go out and do things without getting approval first. That's point one. Point two is when the county commission approved the, for lack of a better term, short-term rental criteria a few years ago, they said in their approval that property that was zoned R1 had to be a minimum
Of 2 acres.
of 2 acres to have a B&B on. But they didn't speak to any other zoning district. So if this were R1, or if that rule applied to all zones, this wouldn't be an option. It would be something that's not permitted. We've had a couple of these come through where the lot size is very small. And I personally think that 2 acre rule is a good thing and should apply to all the zones. But as we stand here today, it does not. And thirdly, if this approval is granted, it will only be approved for a year. Normally, we normally just approve for a year, the first time. And then after that, they have to come back and share with us if there have been any complaints or problems or whatnot. So a reapproval after a year is not guaranteed. So, that's out there. So I just share that with you as clarification. I appreciate your comments.
All right.
I do. Anyone else here wish to speak to this case? Yes, ma'am. Come forward, please. Hi.
Yes, my name is Karen Harris, and I live at 577 Twin Cove, which only part of my property you can see is at the very bottom of the corner there, the little circle there. And I've never met the owners of the property, and probably anything I say is not going to be relevant to what you speak of, as you're here to see what the zones are and everything is compliant. But the only thing I want to say is this is a very old established neighborhood. For 27 years, we've known who is in and out of that house. And when the owners both passed away, we all wondered, okay, I hope this new family that moves in, we can all jive, we can all have our, like I said, we've all been out there so many years. Nobody, and I don't know if maybe they don't have to, apparently, but do we not have to let any neighbors know when there's like going to be an Airbnb? I mean, it's changed the whole dynamics of our neighborhood. We're sitting at our house and there's all of a sudden 8 cars pile in there real quick. Now, do I hear the noise from where I'm located, there's their yard, a road, and the side of my yard. So no, we don't hear the noise. But I know that the Guthries are distraught over the whole situation because, like I said, we've all lived out there so many years. I'm here not because of how it disturbs me, but probably more so as how it has disturbed the neighbors on each side. For me, I'm just a little leery because I don't know who's in and out of there, and I'm not saying they would rent to anybody that we can't trust or be scared of or anything like that. It's a dead-end road. It's very quiet back there, and then all of a sudden now I feel like we have a hotel on a dead-end road because of the traffic in and out of there. And I understand what you say too, that if this is approved, that it's for a year, and that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but whatever. But I don't know. I just felt like I needed to speak up and say something. I've never attended one of these meetings before, but with this being directly across from my house, it's just changed the whole dynamics of a neighborhood that has been established, and these people have lived here and built this little neighborhood the way it is, and then someone else has come in without, I just feel like we've been misled. Well, not intentionally or anything. It's just in a hearsay thing, which probably is not going to be relevant to anything, but nobody anywhere spoke of this being a rental type property. You know, we were under the impression that it was just going to be used for a family. We didn't know that there was going to be rental stuff going on. We just thought it was going to be like a family lake house thing.
I'm not aware of any criteria in any law that says that the owner has to declare whether it's a rental or not.
Right.
Long-term or short-term.
Right.
Short-term
And I get that. I totally get that. Like I said, this is just me and speaking up in my opinion to say, you know, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's beyond me how people can live in a place for 30, 40 years, and it just takes one thing that can come along and change the whole dynamic of your home life, you know. So anyways, it's just me. I wanted to make some statements, and it won't make a difference, I know, because if they're compliant with all the rules and stuff, then they're compliant with the rules. I mean, we get that. You know, now personally, have I had any problems with anybody there? No. Every single person that's rented there has, you know, when we've met face-to-face, like out on the road or whatever, walking or whatever, everybody's been cordial. There's not been anything. From my perspective and where I live, I don't hear the noise because everything on our house is on the opposite side from that. But I just know that the two people living right there next to it, life as they knew it is not the same anymore. So I'm just here in support of that. And like I said, I've never met the owners, and I wouldn't dare want any, you know, bad stuff, any bad feelings or anything like that between owners or anything, because we just don't do that out there. So
We appreciate your comments, and those that we can consider, we will.
that's just comments, and that's that. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address 4205 Creekside Properties? Beg your pardon? Go ahead.
Sorry, something I didn't mention, the complaint that you had brought up. We didn't realize, out of ignorance in Wilson County short-term rental permits, we didn't realize a permit was necessary.
Now, sir, you may not have, but that's a phone call or an internet.
Yes, sir.
That's just not, that's not great. If you said a while ago you have a few of these.
Other counties, yes, sir.
You should have known or checked.
Yes, sir. Agreed. That's what I thought the complaint was. And that's the reason we hadn't looked at it, because we thought that was the complaint, and so that's why we came. On the parking, there was something said about 8 cars. We have a maximum of 4 cars. That goes out to every guest that gets.
Do you have room to park those off the street?
Yes, sir. We have room for 4 cars in the driveway. We expanded it and added extra parking right there. So we do have a maximum of 4 cars, and we do have extra space for those 4 cars. So that was the only thing that I wanted to add.
I have one thing here.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned this complaint, and you kind of seemed to brush it off. Maybe I took it the wrong way. But if this passes, you need to take these serious, because I have concerns like the neighbors have. To me, it's too small a property for it, but that's just my opinion. But you need to monitor it because they're going to be watching. You'll be back up here in another year if it gets approved. So you need to take these very serious and make sure they're not reoccurring events.
Yes, sir. So Mr. Morris and I have each other's phone numbers, call, text, those kind of things. I received a complaint from him personally, and we changed things. We took care of it as soon as we heard anything. So until yesterday when Mr. Morris and I talked again, first time I had anything else.
You understand their concerns?
Yes, sir.
And think they're valid?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You have a challenge that some others may not have. If you were on 3 acres or 5 acres,
right,
you've got a little buffer. But you're on a lot that's the size of a postage stamp. 21,000 square feet?
Yes, sir.
That's
About a half acre.
about a half acre. Yeah, that's, you don't have a lot of buffer.
No, sir. And that was a big reason why. And the Horn Springs thing sort of, that was why we wanted to add so much privacy as much as we could down both sides in respect of that. And so, yes, we understand that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If no one else has any other comments to add, I'll close the public comment period and turn it now to the board for a motion or further discussion. And in regard to case 4205, I will make a motion that we approve with the following stipulations. Number one, that the business plan become a part of the approval and the record and that it be complied with. Number two, that the number of guests will be limited to 6 unless the applicant can produce a septic approval from the state of Tennessee that indicates 8 would be acceptable by a 4-bedroom perk based on our previous view of how these should be approved. We've allowed 2 guests per bedroom, so I'm going to say my motion is limiting to 6 unless the applicant can produce a document that shows that there are 4 bedrooms allowed at that site. And no parking on the street. So the motion is to approve for a period of 1 year, total of 6 guests with no street parking. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just as it's already been brought up for the applicant and the neighbors as well, you know, this is for 1 year, and 1 year, if you want to continue, you will be back up here, and the neighbors are going to have a right to be back up here as well. So just everybody be aware of that. So
I might point out too to the neighbors that if there is a legitimate issue, it needs to be documented. Saying that somebody saw, somebody said, that's not great. But if you saw, or if there's a sheriff's report or something of that nature, then that would be the type of thing that we could consider. Hearsay doesn't go very far. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no.
No.
And have 1 no. So we have 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Motion passes. Okay. Our next case is case 4206, K&A Land Surveying on behalf of Patel Harkumar, requesting to use the property for a convenience market. The property is located at 8434 Carthage Highway, Lot 3. Phillips property is parcel 3306 on Wilson County Tax Map 41. The property consists of 5.36 acres, zone A1 agricultural. We get staff recommendations on 4206.
Mr. Chair, comments for case 4206. Applicant is requesting to use the property for a convenience market. Convenience stores or market are a use on appeal in the A1 zone district, provided the property has direct access to an arterial or collector street on the Wilson County Major Thoroughfare Plan. Wilson County Major Thoroughfare Plan was adopted in 2017, and Carthage Highway is a principal arterial. The property in question is accessed off the Carthage Highway, which is an arterial street as designated by the Wilson County Thoroughfare Plan. Therefore, given the language in the zoning ordinance, and if the board feels that this request fits within the character of the area, staff can recommend approval of the convenience store use. If the use is approved, staff would recommend that you require this go through a commercial site plan to be approved by the Planning Commission.
Okay, who's here to represent 4206?
Brian Keith, K&A Land Surveying.
What would you like to say, Mr. Keith?
First, I'd like to say bless your hearts, but secondly, I'd like to say this is a request for a convenience store. We've covered this ground before not too long ago, so this property has an existing septic system.
It's not that same, this is a different site.
It is a different site, yeah. I'm thinking maybe I'll do 3 before I'm done, but.
Is this the third or second?
This second one. No, it has an existing septic system. There's no record of that system. It had an existing house on that system. But that is not really relevant in this case because the applicant is planning on installing a new system for this convenience store.
Okay.
Your next question is going to be, is there any soils? There is soils, but due to the time constraints of getting up here, I could not get the paperwork. I could not get the folks out there to document that to bring to this board. But there is adequate soils on the lot for the convenience store.
And is the residence house, is it still there?
It is not there.
It is not there, okay.
Chris, should we not see more than a survey? Don't we require a plot plan that's developed showing at least the initial concept for parking, landscaping, stormwater, et cetera, et cetera?
If you all want to be the reviewing body of that, my recommendation is that you require this applicant to go through an adequate commercial site plan to be approved by the Planning Commission. So in that instance, you'd just be looking at the use unless you want to give variances from specific commercial requirements.
Well, if that's the case, then he would have to, well, either way, he'd have to return here for variances on the commercial requirements if he desires.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
All right, that answers that question. All right. Anything else you want to tell us?
I don't have anything else.
And this is out toward the county line, across the road from the existing Key Stop Market?
That's correct. This is not very far from the county line and almost directly across from the Key Stop Market.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, will it sell gas or fuel or
just a convenience store?
Just a convenience store.
This particular client owns the Key Stop Market, so he already has gas.
Okay.
So
why the convenience store?
Yeah.
If you've ever been to the Key Stop Market, it's a very small store. It's very hard for him to stock a large supply, and so he'd like to have a additional store as just a convenience store.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, it's really not my business. I just wondered. All right. Okay. The board have any other questions for the applicant? If not, do we have others here that wish to speak to 4206 K&A Land Surveying with the convenience store? If not, then I'll close public comment on 4206. Turn to the board for a motion or discussion. So, Chris, this is a permitted use on appeal in the A1 district.
If it's located on an arterial.
On a collector artery.
Yes.
So we're not getting off into land use neverland if we decide to approve this.
No, not on this particular case, no, sir.
Okay. All right, I got you. Any other questions or discussion from the board?
Chris does comment, or staff does comment, that the request fits, if the request fits within the character of the area. So is that something we as a board can consider if it, yeah?
Yes, sir.
I would say since we've already got one across the street,
So, yeah.
it would be difficult.
I worry a little bit about, and I don't know that it's fair, because, everybody drives up and down Highway 70 about 30 miles an hour above the speed limit, and it's a pretty dangerous highway. But, like I said, you've already got one, people slowing down, coming in and out. I do worry about traffic, but that's not a valid, the visibility is good. There's just Highway 70, there's a lot of traffic, and people drive way too fast. But
I think it is essential that if we have a motion to approve, that a commercial site plan requirement be.
Well, absolutely.
That will bring up traffic study if staff deemed it's necessary and so on and so forth.
I don't want to get your hopes up on the traffic study. That's a state route, so TDOT would approve the driveway permit and require the study. We wouldn't be able to do that out of our office.
Can't require a study even if you think it's necessary.
Not on this particular route, no, sir.
We can give you that authority.
Okay.
In regard to case 4206, I move that we approve the case with the following stipulations, that the commercial site plan standards be met and approved by the Planning Commission, and that the applicant agree that if the staff deems a traffic study is necessary, that he agrees to provide one. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. The ayes have it.
Who was the second?
I should have asked you if you agreed to that. Okay. Our next case is 4207. Richard, I'm going to say Van Cleve, on behalf of Clifford Dean Brooks, requesting a variance of 5 foot from the easement width requirement of 30 feet. The variance will allow a house to be built on the property. The property is located at 191 Gwynn Place, Lot 3, Parcel 32.07, on Wilson County Tax Map 71. The property consists of 2.2 acres and is zoned R1 residential. The property became of record July 10th, 1974. Is that not right close to our ordinance date?
It is, depending on which sentence you're looking at, it would either be 30 days prior or 30 days after, depending on how you're looking at it. It was adopted in June 30th of 1974, and then it was, and the county adopted it, and then it kind of took effect a month later at the end of July 1974.
We're going to say the end of July is the official date then.
Okay. That's what I'm going off with my comments, but if
Okay.
you want me to go by something else, I will.
No, you're good. That's fine. Go ahead with your comments.
Okay. For case 4207, applicant is requesting a variance of 5 feet from the easement width requirement of 30 feet. This is an older tract of record, as the property became a record prior to July 10th, 1974. Therefore, given the language in the zoning ordinance, staff can recommend approval of the easement width variance. In the July 10th, 1974, that's the date that we're utilizing of when it became a record. This property became record prior to that.
Okay. All right, gotcha. Who's here to represent 4207? Name and address, please.
Good morning, Board. Richard Van Clive, 447 Liberty Chapel, Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I've heard all the last names. It's okay. It's fine. It's been a good one since I was a kid.
It's pronounce it Van Clive.
Van Clive, yeah.
I remember that.
The U really messes things up. So it's an interesting one because it's an old lot of record, which is permissible, in my opinion. But evidently, I guess somewhere between 1974 and then the 30-foot requirement came into play. I'm not sure when that may have come into play, but just wanted to do due process, get in front of you guys, and hopefully get that 5-foot variance so the families can have access.
So you have a 25-foot?
Yeah, it's 25 foot's there and has been there, yes, sir.
Okay. And that's not in dispute or anything of that nature that you know of?
No, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. Excuse me.
No, that's it. That's really all there is, just to give family access to that. Brian has already pinned the corners of the 2 lots that we applied for, and I do have soil from Jay Andrews on both of those, I believe. Karen may have put that in the packet. You see, yeah, you can see it right there. The soil grid on the 2 lots, the 2 subject lots. So just here for due process to get the 5 feet.
Sometimes there's a concern amongst the citizens that, when a request like this comes up, that we're, giving somebody some extra land or doing, and we're not doing that here. You just want us to bless what's already there and has been there for a number of years.
Just bless the grandfathered status, yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay. Anyone have questions for the applicant? If not, thank you. Anyone else here wish to speak to 4203 Richard Van Clyde? Cleve? Clive.
You can call me,
I'm just going to call you Richard. Okay? I mean, this has been a hard one. We had several difficult names this morning, and I think I've murdered all of them. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, I'll close the public comment period. Turn to the board for a motion or any discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve 4207 based on staff comments. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. All right. Thank you for coming.
Got him back.
And you're coming back. Okay. 42.
Name one more time.
No, I'm not either. 42-8. Richard is coming on behalf of John Crutta, requesting a variance of 5 feet from the easement width requirement of 30 feet. The variance will allow a house to be built on the property. The property is located at 193 Gwen Place, Lot 6, parcel 3204 on Wilson County Tax Map 71. The property consists of 2.2 acres and is zoned R1 residential. The property became a record prior to July 10th, 1974. We'll get, Teresa, you'll insert the proper name there. Thank you. And we'll get staff recommendations on 4208.
Mr. Chair, comments for case 4208. Applicant is requesting a variance of 5 feet from the easement width requirement of 30 feet. This is an older tract of record as the property became a record prior to July 10th, 1974. Therefore, given the language in the zoning ordinance, staff can recommend approval of the easement with variance. You did kind of ask when it became of record. If you wanted to know a more rough date, to the best of our knowledge, it became of record July 6th of 1974.
Okay, got you. Who's here to represent 4208?
Richard Van Cleve.
Go ahead. Address.
447 Liberty Chapel Road.
Anything
Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Or is this the same area?
If you could rewind and just restamp everything, it would be the same. Yes, it's right across the street from the last case. Same exact situation.
Got you. Okay. So there's nothing new you want to tell us? No new information?
No, sir.
Right across the street. Same thing.
Same easement access, like almost identical.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm assuming all of these use the same easement?
They do, yes, sir. And they'll be just these are the 2 we're doing as of now. I know there's 2, we're 3 and 6, there's 4, 5, and 7 that are left, but soils are still in process and questionable on those. So I believe due process, I will have to come back in and apply for each of those unless there is something that could be granted for all of those at this time. But I know that's not due process, so we'll have to do that later on, and I'll when I have soil ready on those and the time is right.
So ultimately, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there'll be 6 tracks using the same driveway?
Based off soil, the back lot is there's 2 lots that are very questionable, so at most, you're probably looking at 4 total homes.
But we're not,
yeah.
These tracks have always used this easement, haven't they?
Yeah, that easement has been there since 1970.
Yeah, well, it's not anything new or different. It's just people haven't lived on them probably.
Yeah. They're large. They're pretty large tracks too, and they're 1.8 to 2. Beautiful.
We get to see how neighbors get along. So when you got 5 neighbors sharing one driveway,
yeah,
there's a reason that's not done anymore.
Exactly. And there's a chance it may only be 2 neighbors back there, which is lots 3.
But like I said, that.
So, all up for debate, but same as the last case.
Yeah.
Any more questions for the applicant from our board? Does anyone else wish to speak to 4208? If not, I'll close public comment on 4208 and turn to the board for a motion.
Move to approve based on staff recommendations.
Motion approved, and I have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. The ayes have it. Thank y'all. Okay, our next case is Miranda Mayberry on behalf of Alexis Mayberry requesting a variance of 9 feet on the north side yard setback requirement of 20 feet and a variance of 9 feet from the south side yard requirement of 20 feet. The variance will allow the proposed mobile home to be 11 feet from the north and south side property lines. The property also needs a variance of 50 feet from the lot width requirement of 125 feet and a variance of 66,875 square feet from the lot size requirement of 80,000 square feet. The property is located at 617 Linwood Road, parcel 19 on Wilson County Tax Map 111. The property consists of 13,125 square feet and is owned A1 agricultural. The staff recommendations now on 4209.
Yes, sorry. I'm not going to reread all of those variances again, but I'm just going to start with my comments for 4209. Speaking with the applicant, and it may have not been the applicant, it may have been the representative for the applicant that I was speaking to, they have purchased a 76-foot wide mobile home. As you recall, in your lot width variance, they requested a 50-foot lot width variance to allow a 75-foot wide lot. With the lot width of the property that is stated on the deed, the mobile home will not fit on the property width-wise, regardless of variances given by this board. There is some discrepancy on the depth of the lot and how it may have come to be, but the width of the lot goes back to a deed recorded in 1968. So we're pretty sure of the lot width that's recorded by deed is 75 feet for this lot. Staff's recommendation for this property would be to have a survey done, or at a minimum have the property corners staked to give visual representation of where the property lines are. If the 76-foot mobile home is going to be placed on the property, the applicant will need to obtain more property and do a combination plat and have it recorded with the Register of Deeds office. At this time, with the information given, staff recommends denial without prejudice of this request until the applicant can get recorded survey with more property on the property line or the property lines accurately staked. This denial without prejudice is done with the understanding that they can request to go back before the board once the above information is obtained. And that is due to talking with the applicant. The 76-foot wide mobile home that they have under contract, there's an inability to turn it on this property to fit within setbacks. So supposedly there is maybe the possibility of obtaining the property to the north and adding that. The denial without prejudice is because even if they obtain that property, they're still not going to meet the minimum standards for a lot in Wilson County. So I don't want to hold them to not be able to return for 6 months if they're able to get that done sooner.
Gotcha.
But regardless, they will probably have to come back for setback variances with the 76-foot wide proposed mobile home.
Okay. And are you representing 4209 Mayberry?
Yes, sir.
And your name and address?
Miranda Mayberry, 617 Linwood Road, Watertown, Tennessee.
Okay, and what would you like to tell the board? Now, staff is recommending we deny without prejudice and let you get other information together. But go ahead with what you want to say.
Okay, upon the initial approval of the building permit, we closed on the purchase of the home, and we began improving the property with our time and our money. We're unable to return the home now that it's been closed on. Let's see. At the time whenever we got the home, they had a program that for half down of the home, we wouldn't be able to return the home for the, to be able to get the half down on the payment. So, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous, it's just us. Let me ask a question of our attorney while you're looking through your notes there. Mike? Yes. The staff recommendations are to deny without prejudice.
Yes,
Is that correct?
That's what we talked about earlier.
That's what we're talking about. Is that, it's without prejudice, right?
Yeah, what that means is without prejudice to having to come back to the same. You know, if y'all deny any application, I think they can't come back for 6 months, and
right.
then only with
New evidence.
new evidence information.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
I
this-
just wanted to make sure.
This kind of is a middle ground.
I get confused on the different types of prejudice.
Yeah.
I need to brush up.
Well, you know, there's, in the court of law, with prejudice means it's over with, without prejudice means you bring it back.
Gotcha. Thank you. Now, pardon me, I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay, and also we, Crockett, I believe the Crockett survey folks, they couldn't get us right in. They said it would be 3 to 4 weeks that they would be able to come out there and take care of the surveying for us. They couldn't get it done before our court date.
Well, what they're recommending that we do is deny without prejudice, which means that you could come back at your request.
Yes, sir.
And they don't have to pay a fee again.
No, sir, they would not have to repay the fee.
So, yeah, if we act on this, you know, officially and with prejudice, it's a 6-month waiting period and then only with new information. But if we act on it the way they recommended, you can come back whenever you get your paperwork together. No more money.
You actually won't have to pay new guys.
No more, yeah, right. No more money, just bring the proper paperwork and we'll put you back on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Is that okay?
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah. All right.
We still may discuss this, so I think we may have neighbors that want to comment on it.
And we're going to let everybody speak.
And I do want to say you understand that what staff's recommendation was, and also they had mentioned something about possibly getting more land, purchasing more land and making it a lot bigger. You might want to really visit with staff about that.
Okay, who is that?
That'd be me.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank y'all very
Let's
much.
see.
Thank you.
Do we have others that want to speak to this case? Yeah, come forward, please, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Robert Pierce. I live at 600 Linwood Road, which is directly across from that property. And I'm just kind of confused on variances. I mean, is that, I just want to know if that's asked anything of my land that's across the street.
I don't think so. And we're not here to take anything away from anybody or anything of that nature. We don't have that authority. Chris, if you would go over again where they are real quick and.
Well,
so they have a lot.
They have a lot. There's a little discrepancy on the depth of the lot.
And
but,
she's getting a survey to clarify exactly where her lot is.
But there's a deed that goes back to 1968, and it goes in with what we still have on file, that the lot is 75 feet wide. Talking with the mobile home supplier that she's working with, they called my office directly. The mobile home that they have is 76 feet in width, so I didn't feel the board was in the position to grant any variances, because whatever they were going to do, that mobile home would not fit in that width. It was going to go over a property line, which we would not permit.
So once they get the survey done, they have to figure out either get another mobile home or buy somebody's property or make some other move before we can, even consider giving any variances. And if the variances were given, it would have to be on property they owned.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. So looking at the map, are you actually across the road, across on the other side of Linville?
Yes.
Or Linwood, I mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
So you don't-
on the west side from that property.
You're not adjacent to her property at all?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, other other than I don't know what they'll finally request, but I don't see this affecting you directly at all. Unless.
Her issue, her lot is extremely small. It's just not big enough to put much on. And her mobile home she's purchased is too big. So she's got to, like you said, yeah, she's got to buy land from somebody or get something smaller to put on there.
All right. That's all I had.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Also, I would like to say the property that, I'm really not sure, I can't tell on that. The one that is next to it, if you're standing toward the road, the one to the right side, that is actually my property. The one that we're talking about is my daughter's property. So I don't know if that would have anything to do with this, but if I needed to give her some of that or whatever you guys would recommend, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think we'll not recommend, but that'd be something y'all might talk about.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Come up here, please.
My name's Paul George, 70 Roberts Road, Watertown. I joined their property, and of course their property fronts Linwood Road. I've got a farm that goes in behind their property. Of course, this is nothing for y'all to settle, but they have put a driveway across my property into the back of theirs. I've got an attorney that's trying to resolve that now.
Okay. Well, you're right. That's not part of our thing, but.
I know that, yeah. But I do join their property, and when they started taking out the old trailer there, they put that driveway across my property. I assume off Linwood Road, they could not get a house trailer in there, so they just took, on their part to put a driveway across my property.
Well, maybe by the time she comes back, all this will be cleared up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? If no one else, we'll close the public comment period on 4209 and turn to the board for questions, discussion, or motion. And I will move that we defer. Christopher, should we defer or deny?
I would not recommend deferring it, because if you defer it, that's typically going to come back with the same request. And if she does come back, I feel like it's going to be a completely new request in itself.
So you think it's better to deny?
I do, because the variances in question, I don't think will play a part into the next request that comes forward.
In regard to 4209, I move we deny without prejudice based on staff recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. So if there are no discussion, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition vote no. And the ayes have it. Thank you. And before we adjourn, Christopher, excuse me, ma'am. It seems to me that it is a little bit of a problem to have a 2-acre minimum on short-term rentals in the R1 zone.
Okay.
And no minimum in the supposed less dense A1 zone.
When that resolution was written, it went through Board of Zoning Appeals. You all looked over it. It went through Planning and Zoning Committee. It was approved by this body and the Planning and Zoning Committee. There was no acreage requirement on any district. It was just a use on appeal listed in both districts. The 2-acre minimum was placed on the amendment on the county commission floor.
And I'm not opposed to it.
Yep.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yep.
But I think it's a bad thing that it applies to one zone only.
Well, that's why, since that amendment was made on the floor, the commissioner that made it only had R1 in mind. That's why there's not conformity there. But I understand that.
I would like to make a motion that the next time that they have a planning and zoning committee meeting, that we request that they either expand it to other districts, period. I don't think I want it to go away.
So you want it, because there's not a size requirement in the R2 district. You just want it in all districts.
Minimum
requirement.
Size requirement would be the same for all districts.
Okay.
I mean, we already got it in R1, but to say that A1, which is a less dense district, can have a 12,000 square foot Airbnb, short-term rental, doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor vote aye. Aye. Opposition, vote no. The ayes have it. Anything else we need to cover?
I do not have anything else for you, sir.
We are adjourned.